Well, let's put this into context. There are no cures for plaque psoriasis or active psoriatic arthritis, and treatment options for the 20,000 children under 10 years of age diagnosed with plaque psoriasis annually and the approximately 14,000 children impacted by psoriatic arthritis are limited. Additionally, not all advanced systemic therapies approved for psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis in adults have been approved or extensively studied in children, which could lead to a reliance on older, less effective treatments. Tremfya now brings proven long-term relief to pediatric patients with psoriatic disease. It is the only dual-acting selective interleukin 23 inhibitor that neutralizes inflammation at the cellular source by being able to block interleukin 23 P19 and by binding to CD64, which is expressed on interleukin 23 producing cells at the site of inflammation. So yes, Tremfya now being the first approved interleukin 23 inhibitor for plaque psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis in pediatric patients is a historic moment for the field of dermatology and a milestone that I am very excited about. So this milestone marks the first and only pediatric plaque psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis approval for an interleukin 23 inhibitor. So this is super important because it provides physicians, pediatric patients, as well as parents and care partners of pediatric patients an established option with proven safety, demonstrated efficacy, and convenient dosing. So in adults, interleukin 23 inhibitors as a class have a strong legacy of use amongst dermatologists around the globe, and I expect the same trend to happen in children now with these conditions. So ProtoStar was a phase 3 multi-center randomized placebo and active comparator controlled study evaluating the efficacy and safety as well as pharmacokinetics of subcutaneously administered Tremfya for the treatment of plaque psoriasis in pediatric patients 6 years of age and older. The co-primary endpoints were PASI 90 or IGA score of 0 or 1 at week 16. So what were the results? For efficacy, I want to highlight 3 points. Number 1, at week 16, 56% of pediatric patients receiving Tremfya achieved PASI 90 versus only 16% of patients with placebo. Number 2, at week 16, 66% of pediatric patients receiving Tremfya achieved IGA score of 0 or 1 versus only 16% of patients receiving placebo. And number 3, at week 16, nearly 40% of pediatric patients receiving Tremfya achieved complete clearance, meaning an IGA score of 0 versus only 4% of patients on placebo. Then, from a safety standpoint, it is important to highlight that there were no new safety signals that were discovered in the ProtoStar study. Actually, the findings from the plaque psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis clinical trials performed in the pediatric population corroborate with the efficacy and safety data from the adult population. So this is all very reassuring. To provide further context, the plaque psoriasis approval was based on results from the phase 3 ProtoStar study in pediatric patients with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, and then supportive data from the phase 3 Voyage 1 and Voyage 2 studies in adult patients with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. On the flip side, the approval of the active psoriatic arthritis indication was supported by evidence from the pharmacokinetic extrapolation analyses from the phase 3 plaque psoriasis and active psoriatic arthritis studies, which included Voyage 1 and Voyage 2, Discover 1 and Discover 2, as well as ProtoStar. So the nice part about Guselkumab or Tremfya is that the injection frequency after the 2 loading doses, which are given at week 0 and 4, is every 8 weeks. And in the pediatric population, less injections is always more favorable. So having the option to treat both skin and joint disease with a medication that is only every 8 weeks is a huge plus, not only for the pediatric patient, but also for the caregiver of that pediatric patient. Actually, this approach for pediatric indications is not uncommon. With limited pediatric patients available for clinical trial inclusion, researchers often extrapolate data from clinical trials performed in adult patients to determine the potential efficacy, safety, and tolerability of a treatment in children, allowing for new treatments to be considered as options. So the scientific rationale for this approach for Tremfya was built on the facts that plaque psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis are chronic immune-mediated inflammatory diseases that share clinical features across all age groups and share similar pathogenetic mechanisms, including interleukin-23 as a key inflammatory mediator. I think the strong legacy of using interleukin-23 inhibitors in the adult population is going to translate over to the pediatric population. So I do not see any real differences in the types of patients that we treat. Those with plaque psoriasis who have moderate to severe disease will respond well to treatments that are part of the interleukin-23 inhibitor class. And also those who have active psoriatic arthritis may also benefit from having the same medication from the same class. So I think the robust clinical trial data which led to the approval is sufficient. I think real world evidence generation is super important. And I do hope that more studies will be done in terms of real world evidence moving forward for both plaque psoriasis as well as for psoriatic arthritis in the pediatric population.